What's up YouTube, Capital G here, checking out more of Master Merrick's support coming out in the next legendary duelist, Duelists of Gloom. We already discussed on this channel his brand new boss monster, the Egyptian God Slime, which is a very powerful card, can be destroyed by battle, has very good attack, can be used to summon other Egyptian God cards, and protects your other monsters from battle. I thought that maybe Konami would give us another way of summoning that guy, not just solely relying on Metal Reflect Slime. And then of course, since Merrick is an Egyptian god wielder, I thought that there would be more support for the Winged Dragon of Ra. I even thought that maybe it was on the table for us to see another version of Ra. So far, most of that has held true. We do have some more support for that Egyptian god Slime, and then we also have more support for the Winged Dragon of Ra. Keep in mind, all of Merrick's cards have not been revealed. Since Konami changed the character count in the Legendary Duelist from 5 to 3, we still have 4 more cards to talk about in addition to the cards I'm going to discuss in this video. Anyways, let's go ahead and start breaking Merrick's cards down. So the first card is Reactor Slime. It's a level 4 water monster, aqua type, 500 attack, 500 defense, and both of your effects are hard once per turn. Your first effect says during your main phase you can special summon 2 slime tokens. Those are aqua water level 1, 500 attack, 500 defense. Also, you cannot normal or special summon monsters for the rest of the turn except divine beast monsters. Second effect, during either player's battle phase, quick effect, you contribute this card, that's a cost. Set 1 Metal Reflect Slime from your hand, deck, or graveyard into your spell and trap zone, so you can get it from anywhere. Also, it can be activated this turn. Okay, so this is a pretty nifty card, and I like it because it seems like Konami is trying to address 2 issues at the same time. When you're trying to play a Merrick deck, especially with the new Egyptian God Slime, it kind of breaks down into 2 smaller decks, I guess you could say, or you got 2 sides of the deck. You have your, Winged Dragon of Ra side and all the plays that come with the God card, and then you have your Metal Reflect Slime side, and then that goes with the new Egyptian God Slime. And this card kind of answers, or it makes both of those a little more consistently. Being able to now set Metal Reflect Slime directly from our deck, it alleviates the problem of, oh man, if I don't draw it, how the heck am I going to get to it? Also, it can be activated the same turn that you set it, so that's pretty nice. But if you don't want to go for that, this card sets up immediately for you to be able to drop the Winged Dragon of Ra. It's very similar to Ra's Disciple. It's a monster that you can summon, and then you instantly get 3 monsters, and then hopefully you can drop your Egyptian God card. Now, obviously, the issue with that play is the fact that, well, the Egyptian God cards use your normal summon, and this card would theoretically use your normal summon as well. Don't worry, the next card that I'm going to cover is going to address that, because at first I was thinking that, I was like, man, this seems cute, but it's going to have the same problem that Ra's Disciple has. Like, I'm going to summon it, I'm going to get 3 monsters, then my opponent's going to kill them, and I'm just not going to be able to get my God card on field. Don't worry, again, the next card addresses that problem directly. Our next card is a spell card called Ancient Chant, and if you look at the artwork, and then you remember back to the Battle City, quarterfinals, Merrick versus Mai, you know exactly what Konami is referencing here. It's a hard once per turn. Your first effect, well, both of the effects are hard once per turn, but you can use them both in the same turn. Your first effect says add 1 Winged Dragon of Ra from your deck or graveyard to your hand, and if you do, you can tribute summon 1 monster during your main phase this turn, in addition to your normal summon, but you can only gain this effect once per turn. Second effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard, that's a cost. For the rest of the turn, any Winged Dragon of Ra or Ra's that you tribute summon have their original attack and defense become equal to the total original attack and defense of the monsters that you tributed for those summons. Okay, so Ancient Chant is absolutely amazing for the Merrick deck and its strategy. It's a bona fide staple. You have to play 3 of this card, non-debatable. It addresses so many of the fundamental problems that you were going to run into if you ever tried to build a Merrick deck. Number 1, and this is like probably one of the biggest problems, you just didn't have a way of consistently getting access to the Winged Dragon of Ra, which is basically your win condition if you're playing that deck. I mean, it's really nice if you're lucky enough to open with it, or maybe you can hard draw it as your 6th card, but what if you don't draw it or open with it? You really don't have access to your win con, and this now gives you the ability to just search out your Winged Dragon of Ra at any given point. It also fixes another problem. Even when you did have the Winged Dragon of Ra, it was always kind of difficult to tribute summon it in the same turn that you were going to use something like Ra's Disciple. I mean, Ra's Disciple, or the last card that we just talked about, the Reactor Slime, Slime. Those are cards that can give you 3 monsters on field easily, but they generally are going to eat up your normal summon. And when they eat up your normal summon, how the hell are you supposed to drop Ra? This gives you that additional summon to summon your god card. So it definitely fixes 2 problems at the same time. The second effect is also kind of nice because what it allows you to do is get Ra some stats without having to pay all those damn life points. If you use Ra's Disciple and you tribute all of the Ra's Disciples away to summon it, you now get a 3,300 attack god card, and that's definitely not bad. It allows you to pop some cards on your opponent's side of the field. Maybe you can get lucky enough to kill them. If you do use the slimes, I believe that its attack is going to be 1,500. Not as bad, or excuse me, not as good, but it's definitely a little more. This is a bona fide staple. You play 3 of this card, no questions asked. Next up, we have Millennium Revelation. This is a continuous spell card with a hard once per turn on both of the effects, but you can use them in the same turn. First effect says you can send 1 Divine Beast monster from your hand to the graveyard, add 1 Monster Reborn from your deck or graveyard to your hand. Second effect, you can send this face-up card from your spell and trap zone to the graveyard. For the rest of the turn, you can special summon the Winged Dragon of Ra from your graveyard with your Monster Reborn's effect, ignoring summoning conditions. But during the end phase, you must send to the graveyard all Winged Dragon of Ra that you have special summoned by the effect of Monster Reborn. Alright, Monster Reborn is now searchable and I don't have to play a freaking Karibo card. Definitely sign me up. I'm a fan of this. We know Monster Reborn, even though it's a damn near 20-year-old card in the TCG, it hasn't been power creeped. It's still incredibly strong, just as strong as it was when it first came out. I mean, hell, Spiral were playing Monster Reborn just last format in the TCG. And I believe that a lot of Dragon decks are basically, since they lost Destrudo, if they weren't running Monster Reborn already, they're just playing a copy of it now. So getting Monster Reborn access seems pretty good, especially considering that you can pitch the Winged Dragon of Ra, then search Monster Reborn, send this card to the graveyard, and then just Monster Reborn the Ra back from your graveyard. So now we have not only searchable Monster Reborn to extend upon our plays, but we have a way of being able to get Ra on the field without ever having to use our normal summon. You don't have to rely on tributing 3 monsters or any of that crap anymore. You can just Monster Reborn your Ra from the graveyard and kick your opponent's butt. In addition to that, even if you did use Monster Reborn earlier in the duel, you can get it back from the graveyard. So now this should be one of the only decks in the game that can use Monster Reborn multiple times in a duel, which is definitely kind of nice. This feels like a very solid card in my opinion. Next up is a continuous trap card called One with the Sun God. You cannot activate the first and second effects of this card's name in the same chain. While you control a card whose original name is the Winged Dragon of Ra, you can activate this card during the turn it was set. First effect, during either player's main phase, you can pay life points so that you only have 100 left. Choose 1 special summoned Winged Dragon of Ra you control, and if you do, it gains attack and defense equal to the amount you paid. Second effect, once per turn, you contribute 1 Winged Dragon of Ra you control, gain life points equal to the attack it had on the field. Okay, so this card's okay, but it is highly situational, and I know exactly what Konami was aiming for when they designed this card. They want you to be able to do the play we were just talking about, where you're Monster Reborning your Winged Dragon of Ra, but still be able to have the chance of killing your opponent. Because Ra's effect, where you pay a bunch of life points until you're at 100, but then you give your Ra that many life points, it only works when the Ra is normal summon, and that's a problem because Monster Reborn is obviously a special summon. So now you have a way of targeting your special summon Ra and giving it that attack, or basically giving it that effect. And it does have a little bit of a fail-safe, or I guess a safety net. Let's say that you give your Ra all that attack, but then your Ra is going to be destroyed or something like that, or you just don't end up killing your opponent. You now contribute that Ra, which if you summoned it from Monster Reborn, it's going to be destroyed during the end phase anyways, or if your opponent tries to kill it in some way, and you can get those life points back, because usually Ra is an all-in. If you don't kill your opponent after you use that effect, you only have 100 life points left, so you're just going to lose the duel. Now you have a way of being able to recover those life points. The reason that I say this card is highly situational is because for the most part, it really just kind of works with the Monster Reborn play. I mean, for the most part, if you're not really killing your opponent with the Ra, you're probably going to lose, even if you do get a bunch of life points back. But I do like that they thought this out. They gave us a trap card that could be activated immediately, and it does give us a Monster Reborn Ra that's actually a threat to our opponents. Our final card is a monster. This is Guard Guardian Slime, it's a level 10, predictably. Water Aqua Monster, 0 attack, 0 defense, and you got a hard once per turn on all the effects, but you can use them all in the same turn. The first effect says if you take battle damage or effect damage, you can special summon this card from your hand. Second effect, if this card battles an opponent's monster during damage calculation, you can activate this effect. During this damage calculation only, this card gains defense equal to that monster's attack. Second effect, if this card, or excuse me, third effect, if this card is sent from the field or the hand to the graveyard, you can add one spell / trap that specifically lists the Winged Dragon of Ra in its text from your deck to your hand. Okay, so this card's pretty cool. It feels a little bit like the Last of a Dying Breed. Kind of feels like a 5Ds card in my opinion, because you summon it as you would something like Gores or Tragodia. You take damage, then you just drop it on the board. If your opponent tries to attack into it, this card's defense is going to become whatever that monster's attack is. So most likely, you're basically going to be able to stall out one attack. And then even if your opponent does happen to kill this guy, it floats into any of the spells and traps that we just talked about. And that seems pretty good. Basically, you get a monster that's a level 10. Hopefully, it can live and you contribute it to summon your Metal Reflect Slime God. But even if it doesn't live and your opponent's able to get it off field, it's going to pay for itself anyways. And heck, if it does live, you get your God and you get a search. Feels like a pretty good card. It feels like a highly situational card. Like I don't want to see this card just sitting in my hand turn after turn after turn if my opponent is playing very defensive and they're not actually doing any damage to me. But if they are trying to go aggressive, this is an excellent card because it can stop an attack and it pays for itself the second it leaves the field. So what do you guys think of the new Merrick support? I think it's actually shaping up kind of nicely. They're making the Merrick strategy a lot more consistent and fixing some of the problems that it has. And keep in mind, we still have 4 more cards to go. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. As always, you leave whatever you thought in the comment section below. Turn on that notification bell and subscribe for daily videos.